Hi, I'm Patrick with the inside story on next week's soaps. Jay and Ben are unable to escape the burden of Heather's death, not while Shirley is obsessing about her best mate and Andrew's under arrest. Ben's preoccupied with his psychiatric report, and when he finally learns it suggests he's constantly trying to impress Phil, he hides it. Meanwhile, Shirley learns that Phil stopped Jean telling the police she'd seen Andrew at the time of the murder. Very fishy. So Phil takes drastic action, but what is it? Alfie's worried about how he's going to pay off Derek over the theft, and when he sends Alfie out on another job, Roxy's terrified something awful will happen. She's so relieved to find him safe that she's moved to confess she's fallen for him. Now that Ian has managed to wrest back the cat from Phil, he prepares for the grand relaunch. But Derek preys on his anxiety by telling him Mandy's drumming up trade by flirting with the customers. Next, we're in Weatherfield. Tommy has a punch-up with some man who's had his camper towed because he's taken over the empty unit. And it's none other than his real dad, Terry. Tyrone is forced to reveal that Terry sold him to the Hortons, a shocking revelation that Terry confirms. But then he hears about his son's inheritance. Suddenly, we see a different side to Terry as he apologises to his son. But old habits die hard, and he turns Tina against Tyrone and Kirsty. Terry is suddenly Tommy's new best mate as he drips poison about Tyrone and lures him into working for him. Another blast from the past arrives on the street when Betty's son Gordon shows up, explaining that his mum died overnight. Gordon's touched by the outpouring of grief, and when Emily and Rita sort through Betty's things, they find a letter from Annie Walker bequeathing the pub to her. Stella's in a flat, thinking her ownership may be invalid, but what will Gordon tell her? And even more importantly, Betty's left Sean her hot pot recipe. Meanwhile, Stella is furious to find Carl helping out behind the bar, which hurts his male pride, and again he turns to Sunita. Will they betray Stella again? Last, we're in the Dales. The shocking elderly abuse storyline reaches its lowest point when Sandy collapses and cries after a visit to the care home. Laurel begs him to tell her why he's so upset, but he clams up. All becomes clear, however, when she walks in just as a panicky Ashley hits his father. Laurel gets Sandy out of the house and returns to find Ashley packing. He breaks down as it becomes clear that he's been taking out his anger over Laurel and Marlon on Sandy. A defiant Laurel tells Ashley she'll stay for Sandy's sake, but won't leave him alone with his dad or the children. Jimmy upsets Nicola when Bob turns up with his son, Elliot, and reveals that Callie's left him holding the baby while she's gone to the States for 6 months. They argue about the boy, but Rodney manages to talk her around, for now. Ellie's illiteracy becomes a real problem when Lisa leaves her to cover quality control of the factory and she sends out the wrong orders. She claims Lisa is lying, but the truth emerges and Ellie is sacked. Sean, however, begs for her job back. Jay and Nikhil agree if she apologises and enrolls in a literacy class.